SKOR North Studios. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
Then he becomes head coach, Niners. So Kirk knows the system. Kirk is an incredibly intelligent guy. Kirk goes over there. Maybe the Minnesota Vikings are kind of done with the Kirk Cousins era, fully guaranteed contract, and say, hey, go ahead and move on. And then what are they going to do for quarterback? So then now we got a whole other team that's entering the whole thing. It's just very interesting, unless they're taking Jimmy G back. And I'll be excited to see how the boys over in Minnesota feel about that.
You talked about maybe they bring Ponder back.
Wow. Oh, I forgot about Christian Ponder until earlier today.
Reckless speculation.
Oh, that's awesome.
How would you feel? Christian Ponder, 651-646-8255. That was from the Pat McAfee show. So I look back into the Purple Daily archives and the Purple Daily YouTube channel, which if you're not listening to daily, we've got two shows, Mackey and Judd and Purple Daily. Check us out. YouTube, Apple, Spotify, SKORNorth.com. The first conversation we had about Kirk Cousins potentially going to the San Francisco 49ers was on November 4th, I believe, 2020.
Took us that long, huh?
November 4th. No, I think we had a discussion at some point, like earlier in the year too, when some of those John Lynch quotes resurfaced about how much Kyle Shanahan was depressed for like a week when Kirk signed with the Minnesota Vikings.
Breaking my heart.
So here's my question to you guys off the top of the show. It's kind of a two-part question. How much smoke versus how much fire? All these things are coming out now. Like yesterday, we had Ross Tucker floating something about sounds like Kirk's going to go to the 49ers. We've got
which is an interesting one because he's not an insider, but he definitely talks to people within the league who know what they're talking about. So I didn't dismiss that one at all.
Yep. There's also our friend Vikes Central, who is a listener of Purple Daily. Vikes Central floated like something oddly specific, kind of unsourced. And I don't know if Vikes Central has sources, but Vikes Central said something about a second and a fourth round pick are being discussed. How much smoke versus how much fire in your mind?
So my opinion is this. As of last Friday, I think what we had was a paint can and some rags and possibly something that was hot and plugged in the garage, but we had nothing. It was just dangerous conditions, okay?
Oh, you're saying
irresponsible. Like things that could be flammable if they come together. But they hadn't yet. So
we left the oven on overnight. But there was nothing in it, and it was pretty clean.
Exactly,
okay.
And so it was a less than ideal move by us, but it also was not an immediate threat. But the condition,
actually, Declan left a candle burning overnight. That's what happened.
Yep, it's happened
at his house while not there because he was at someone else's house.
Yeah, because he sleeps over at other people's houses.
And he doesn't like to talk about the fact that that's a brag, but that's beside the point.
He picked me back up off waivers, by the way. I'm okay. I got claimed back.
Well, yeah, I found out why, so that's fine. So anyway, as of last Friday, those were the conditions. Stove was on, not a smart move, but I don't think there was smoke, and I don't think that there was fire, and so I think it was like ripe for discussion, but that was it. And then along came Saturday, and Matthew Stafford gets traded in a deal that I don't think anybody other than maybe the Rams and the Lions saw coming as far as compensation. Oh boy. And now you've left the oven on, and unfortunately a towel has fallen on it. And
it's doused in gasoline.
Yes,
randomly.
And so
this is like a Fire Marshal Bill skit.
Exactly.
Yeah, Cameron, let me tell you something.
And so now,
so you happen to be carrying a fork through the kitchen, and you trip, and oh look, the fork goes in the electrical socket. Let me tell you something.
And so now, boys, we got flames, we got sparks, we got problems, and we might even have a disabled fire alarm, which is a real problem because people are sleeping in this house, okay? The Stafford trade to me took this from being probably a Mackey and Judd and a few people more. It's interesting, right? Shanny loves Cousins. To a national potential story, and there's no way that the Vikings aren't at least intrigued by what they could get, right? So that's where I think we now have a fire that I'm not saying it can't be put out. I'm not saying it's raging yet, but we definitely now have a fire as opposed to a situation that was ripe for that fire maybe to start.
Yep. So you've got, we don't have like a Shefty bomb here or anything yet. Like Adam Schefter came out with a couple of haymakers in January and said, Deshaun Watson wants to be traded.
Yes.
And Matthew Stafford is going to be traded, right? Like when Woj or Shefty or Passon come out.
That is a towering inferno.
Yep. That hasn't happened yet.
Skyscraper on fire.
We had the Massey bomb, that Evan Massey guy.
Yeah, who I don't
tweeted out.
Yeah.
That the 49ers still looking to make moves at quarterback. Kirk Cousins, I'm told, is a name to keep an eye on. Ross Tucker saying, and I'm reading the tweet here, sounds like it will be Cousins in San Francisco, but whatever. I think Jimmy G will find his way to the Patriots. And we've got our friend Vike Central who's floating stuff, but we don't have a Shefty. We don't have a towering inferno of speculation here yet.
Correct.
But just adding up all of these things, it feels like and the fact that the 49ers made a run for Stafford, and the fact that the 49ers only have to pay like $2.5 million in dead cap money to say goodbye to Jimmy Garoppolo, that the 49ers are open for business. And we know that the 49ers with Kyle Shanahan really like Kirk Cousins. I mean, this isn't just, a lot of people came at us yesterday. Your reckless speculation has gone too far this time.
My Twitter timeline last night was a flurry of activity.
You guys have gone too far this time. And you're just making these things up. Now, these are things that are, listen, we're a tennis player right now. Like, we're fending off the serves, okay? This is not stuff that, now, in November, when we put that episode out in November, that was us theorizing on our own.
No.
This is stuff that's leaking out and coming out. And my read on it is that the 49ers are open for business, and the 49ers are looking to trade for an established quarterback, and that Kirk Cousins is definitely on that list of players that they would trade for.
Yes.
And it's the Vikings, for a few reasons, that might be hesitant because of, even if they trade Cousins, they'd have to eat like $20 million in dead cap. So that's kind of a problem.
Unless they work out the trade post June 1st, in which it drops down to 10, and no one's pointing that out yet.
So they could agree verbally now,
Yes.
and then finalize it after June 1st, right?
Yes.
And then there's the fact, I mean, and this is legitimate, that they've had the same offensive system in place, even though they've had revolving door of coordinators, but they're trying to bring in another coordinator, either internally or externally, can run the same system so that Kirk can be in the same system for another year.
Yep.
And be comfortable.
Yep.
And there's this feeling that, boy, if we can just keep the band together and get a couple guys back healthy and find a left guard, that this thing's going to be ready to pop for a Super Bowl. And I think that's the struggle on the Viking side is, if we bring the band back together, is it really a Super Bowl team, or is that a pipe dream and we should be looking to make an aggressive move to shake things up at the most important position?
First of all, my timeline on Twitter last night made it abundantly clear. The offense is fine. It's not the problem. I mean, it was fourth in yards.
I'm sorry. Did I miss something?
It was fourth in yards. It was great.
Was the 98 Vikings offense on the field? There's like people underestimate what it takes off. I know the defense was worse, but like people underestimate what it takes offensively to win a damn Super Bowl.
So here's where I'd like to go today with this. The greats in sports, Gretzky, right? Gretzky, LeBron, what have they all been known for? They see the game a second quicker than you do, okay? That is Mackey and Judd. We see the game of reckless speculation, and listeners, it's why you come to us one, and this is not a put down. I have a gift. I think Phil does too. Dex too. We have gifts. So this is not like, I'm sure that that God has given you an ability that your parents are proud of, and that's great. Ours is to move the story because we see it clear.
In the Minnesota sports media scene, fans are represented by two different yet equally important groups. The homers who affiliate with positivity and don't like to have fun, and the realists who prosecute the offenders and recklessly speculate. These are their ideas.
We were ahead of you on Cousins, and now it's sort of here. And now I'm going to take you guys down the next path. The logical conclusion of many right now is this. Rick and Mike are working for their jobs. So why would they go away from Kirk right now? Why on earth would you do that? That makes no sense, Mackey and Judd. And you know what?
That's one way to look at it.
Declan, buzz off too, because you guys don't get it. All right. Here's the step that you're not thinking about. Rick and Mike are still joined at the hip. But Rick and Mike are both adult males with egos that are massive. And both of them want to keep their job. And let me tell you right now, if they were both on the edge of a cliff and only one could live, the other would push the other. All right?
Judd didn't watch the Royal Rumble.
You did not.
The Women's Royal Rumble had two women that were both on the verge of falling out of the ring, and they agreed, let's help each other get back in the ring.
Okay, that's not these guys. That's not football people. So here's the logical step that people aren't considering. And it ties back to a point that Phil brought up, I think, yesterday. The ownership of this team, since the Wilfs bought it in 2005, has been more than willing to make huge splash moves, okay? Do you really think that Rick wouldn't privately go to the Wilfs and say, okay, boys, here's the deal. I got a chance to trade Kirk. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's favorable. It's a good trade. Deshaun Watson is on the market. I'm going to pursue him. I think we should too, Ziggy and Mark, and their eyes are going to get, I covered those guys. Their eyes are going to get wide as saucers. Oh my God, Deshaun. I mean, these guys got Brett Favre, okay? If I mention Deshaun Watson, they're going to get their football PJs on and let me tell them football stories. They're going to be so excited.
Actually, real quick, what do you think their reaction would be if you went to them and said, this is going to sound crazy, but Brett Favre wants to make a comeback?
Eyes wider
We have to
than
clear
saucers.
out Kirk Cousins to make room for Brett Favre.
Let's do it.
And he wants $1 million a game still, but he doesn't realize that the cost of quarterback play has gone way up. And so that's actually kind of a bargain for us.
He's still back in 2009. But the point being is, if you got a chance to get a haul, make the call, get the haul from San Francisco. If you had a chance to pursue Deshaun Watson, and let me tell you right now, if you gave Deshaun Watson the specifics of what he wants here with Justin Jefferson and this crew, he's coming here, okay? So, stop with this. He wouldn't waive his no-trade clause for the Vikings. Yes, he would if I give him what he wants. No question.
I agree.
But anyway, the point being is, you're all thinking about this in terms of it's not realistic. It can't happen because Rick and Mike. There is a term in law in which people say we move to sever the cases, right? I move to sever these two people as far as their relationship goes. And I will tell you right now, the next step in this progression is for Spielman to sell ownership, whether Mike knows about this or not, on the fact that if he can get the right haul for Cousins and he can pursue Deshaun Watson, Ziggy and Mark Wilf are going to be so excited their heads will spin. That's the next step.
So I want to clear up something else as you go down this path, because I think a lot of people are also getting tripped up with the Jimmy Garoppolo part of the equation.
That's okay.
Great point. Why would you guys why would you guys want to trade Kirk Cousins first off? And the answer is it's not about trading Kirk Cousins and then shrugging your shoulders well, what do we do now at quarterback? And it's not about getting Jimmy Garoppolo back in return. This isn't trade Cousins for Garoppolo and move on your path. No, this is trade Cousins for picks. Garoppolo can do. I don't want Garoppolo. They're going to cut him. There's no.
Yes.
They have no leverage unless someone thinks they can take a flyer on him and restructure his contract or something.
The Patriots might take him back or something.
Yep, because he knows the system in
Absolutely.
Belichick, and he was pretty good for 2 games. Whatever.
Yep.
And I hope that works out for him. I have no interest in Jimmy Garoppolo, just to be clear. So this would not be a Cousins for Garoppolo trade, and nor would the Vikings have to take Garoppolo back in the trade. The Niners can cut him and eat the $2 million themselves. They can deal with Jimmy Garoppolo. And if they demand that the Vikings have to deal with Jimmy Garoppolo, then I'm cutting Jimmy Garoppolo.
Right,
I'm not paying
you can
Garoppolo.
do that.
Yep. I'm not paying Garoppolo $27 million.
I'm with you.
He's going somewhere else. All right.
With you.
The reason why you would make this trade is to get draft capital. Call it a second. I think they might be able to get a first based on what Matthew Stafford went for.
Yep.
Get the draft capital and get out from underneath a big contract for a non-elite quarterback.
Yep.
And then you have two options. Once you do that, that's the first thing. Like, you have to do that first. And then you have two different options, which are both very appealing to me. Option number one, you could package draft picks. Now, maybe you got a couple first-round picks now. You got the 14th, and you got another pick, and you can package and move up to maybe take Zach Wilson in the top 2 or top 3, whatever, right? Like, and it might take more than just those picks. You might have to trade a future first-round pick or something, but you now have the ammunition in draft capital to get a young star quarterback, potential star quarterback, but more importantly, who makes like $20 million to $30 million less than Kirk Cousins, allowing you for 5 years to build the rest of your roster the way that you want. A lot easier to find a left guard. A lot easier to find an interior defensive lineman, right? But the more appealing option would be get draft capital so that you have as much ammunition or close as the other teams that want Deshaun Watson. But you can't do either of those things as long as you have Kirk Cousins under contract.
Right.
And so if you choose the keep Kirk Cousins option,
right,
you better damn well have your hand in the Joe Thuney bin in free agency. Like, you better know exactly how you're upgrading your offensive line with potentially minimal salary cap space. And you better nail your first round pick, whatever that thing winds up being, if you expect to be a Super Bowl contender with Kirk Cousins under contract for 2 more years.
So off that point, my question to you then is this. If you're Spielman and you go to the Wilfs privately,
the Wolves,
who do you think, which path do you think gives you a better chance to survive? A screw it, win now with Kirk, we'll do the best that we possibly can, or an elaborate plan that includes the trading of Kirk to get future assets and privately sets me up to say the next coach is going to be an offensive guy. It's going to be a guy, and we're going to have a quarterback in place who we trust more. And so I think this notion, this one-track notion that, they have to win now and it's got to be Kirk, I think you're selling people short as far as what they will do to survive.
Well, I love that you brought this point up, because I feel like, and this is the reality, I think, with a lot of professional sports owners. And I think the perception from a fan standpoint is that you're just trying to keep your job. You need to reach like the lowest bar possible, wherever it's set, to keep your job as a coach, as a GM. And the perception is that, well, you got to get back to the playoffs to keep your job, right?
Right.
Like, you got to go from 7-9 to like 9-7 or 10-6.
Yep.
That's the bar to keep your job. And maybe that is the bar, because that's been the bar, quite frankly, since the 70s for the Vikings. The bar among fans, media, ownership, subconsciously or consciously, has been get to the playoffs, be relevant. And if you happen to do something a little bit beyond that, once every 10 years, you have a record-breaking offense or something, and you go into the NFC Championship game, that is gravy, baby. That's awesome. If I were the owners at this point, and I'm looking at 60 years of franchise history, I am looking at one of the great franchises in professional sports to not have a championship. It probably is among the 4 main men's professional sports leagues in this country. Now that the Capitals have won a Stanley Cup, you can make a case for like the Utah Jazz or something, but like, I think the Vikings and the Astros finally won a World Series.
No, it's top 3 for sure, if not 1.
Yep. 100%. I think it's the best franchise to never have won a championship in 60 years of this franchise being in the state of Minnesota. It's time to win a Super Bowl. And so my bar, if I'm the owners and I'm talking to Rick Spielman and Mike Zimmer, I'm saying, guys, I'm not saying I trust you guys. Rick, you can build good rosters, and Mike, you're a little rigid and you're a little antiquated, but like you mostly win games. You're well above 500 as a coach, and damn it, you are a great defensive mind if we just get some guys back for you. I need you guys to think more creatively about how to win a Super Bowl. I don't care as ownership about winning 9 or 10 games. I don't care about getting to the divisional round anymore. I want what the Chiefs have. I want what the Buccaneers might have. I want bold, creative solutions to win a Super Bowl. And so don't worry, like, I'm not going to just fire you guys for missing the playoffs or whatever.
Right.
But I will fire you if you don't present me with a plan to win a Super Bowl. That's the blueprint that I want to see if I'm ownership. And to me, that blueprint does not include paying Kirk Cousins like the 7th most amount of money to the cap, he's not a quarterback that moves the Super Bowl needle. He's a quarterback that definitely moves the playoff needle. He's not shipwrecking your franchise. But as I tweeted this morning, if your math problem is win a Super Bowl, he's not a main part of that solution. So guys, present me with some Super Bowl solutions or you're fired, period.
And where I think that the game might have changed on Spielman and Zim too is this. So the expectation from the Wilfs in 2021 is going to be that this team makes the playoffs. But keep in mind, in 2019, the working theory, and I think it was correct, was that if they didn't beat the Saints in that playoff game, Zimmer was going to be traded and or fired. I would not be surprised if the expectation and the pressure internally for 2021 is you have to win a playoff game, if not two. I think one probably saves you ultimately. But the point is, I don't know that making the playoffs next year, after the disappointment of 2 of the last 3 years with Kirk of not making the playoffs, period, I don't know if making the wild card round and losing saves Mike next time. But if I'm Rick, I don't care about that. I think Mike is a good coach. We know that he is a good coach. He is a defensive mastermind when he is on his game completely. All of that being said, if I'm Rick, I don't care because I don't think that Mike can be saved. This league has changed. And if I go and talk to the Wilfs about this and I'm Rick, what I say is, guys, in 2014, which is now, in football lives, 30 years back, I hired a defensive coach to stop offenses because the game was changing at that time. It was evolving. It has now evolved and changed completely. And so I'm thinking along the lines of, we need to get our ducks in a row. We need to find our next QB. And ultimately, that person is going to have to be coached by a guy who is an offensive mind. And so I am, again, Phil, if I'm Rick, I'm trying to stay a step ahead of where Mike is at, and I'm trying to foresee the future and give the Wilfs the blueprint of what that future will bring. And I don't think anybody with the team is going to fault Rick for Kirk because you took a swing. Like, that's the thing we need to keep. Like, I don't know why fans can't divorce themselves from, you took your shot, which, by the way, I applaud. Bravo. Because if you don't,
the shot is the success.
Yeah. And if you don't, we say, what the hell? Aaron Hicks, you kept him and you didn't trade for Cliff Lee, right? So if you shoot your shot, good for you. That's awesome. But you also have to be savvy enough to say, we shot the shot and it went around the rim and it looked like it was going down, a 3-point shot, and it missed. And you know what? That's life. But this is why I really believe that this conversation, the most important part is the GM and the staff around him directly to tell the Wilfs what the future is going to be. And if nothing else, if you set up quarterback flexibility, there's a team in Tampa that did exactly this. And the Vikings have done the same thing. And guess what? That team in Tampa on Sunday is going to play for a Lombardi trophy.
I would argue that the team they're playing against also,
at
least in their minds, had quarterback flexibility.
And they were
an 11-win
season
season or whatever.
And
it was.
they were genius. But the point being is, I think that from the GM's chair, there is a salvageable standpoint here that makes those who say Kirk is not going to be traded, this was a ridiculous conversation. I say to you, you're not seeing this clearly.
Yep. And I would add one more thing. Yes, the defense was a bigger problem last year than the offense. But the model right now in the NFL seems to be, in terms of winning a Super Bowl, super dynamic offense with a defense that's good, mostly situationally good on third downs, red zone, etc. Not the other way around. The Vikings are trying to do it kind of the other way around, which is we need a great defense and an offense that can hold its own once in a while, especially if we get the game blueprint that we want, which is take a lead early and run the ball down their throats. You need an offense that can play from ahead, behind, throw it 50 times if necessary, come from down 20 points, and make a big comeback. The Vikings are built offensively to be really, really good when the game conditions are ripe for what they want to do.
Yes.
That's pretty much it. If they don't take a lead, if they don't get out in front by 10 points and lean on somebody, let's just put it this way. You can count on one hand in Kirk Cousins' career how many fourth quarter comebacks he and this offense have in 3 years. Real quick here, because it looks like we do have a phone guest to get to who might have something to add to this discussion. What's the percent chance right now, you think, with all the smoke that we're seeing? There's no Adam Schefter and towering Inferno bomb yet, but like all the smoke.
Right.
Percent chance Kirk Cousins gets traded.
Oh, I'll say right now, realistically 10%.
I'm at about 15 to 20.
I think it's like
25.
20 to 30.
Yeah.
I think it's 20 to 30.
It's building. It's honestly building.
It feels like it is. I almost
Fair.
need that
That's awesome.
next step. If Tucker had explained his tweet more, if Ross had come out and said, I'm hearing and here's blah, I think I'd probably be more 25.
Judd, you should just tweet something vague right now. Tweet Cousins to the Niners.
Or Cousins, multiple teams, question mark? Leverage?
Oh, man. By the way, Declan is doing a great job running the SKOR North Instagram account. We are active on Instagram at SKOR North, SKOR North, if you partake in such social media visual platforms. I'm on Instagram at Phil Mackey. And what's yours, Declan?
It's _Dexter.
_Dexter, if you want to follow Declan on Instagram. So hit us up on Instagram. Where our goal is we're over 6,000 followers. We'd love to get to like 10,000 followers by the end of the year. And in return, we'll give you valuable daily fun speculation and other things. So at SKOR North, at Phil Mackey, at _Dexter. Judd, you're on Instagram too. You haven't been super
active.
active.
At Jay Zolgad, yeah.
At Jay Zolgad, if you want to pressure Judd into being active on the gram.
Yeah, it's sort of high school yearbook. I just don't enjoy it as much as Twitter.
Randy in Cottage Grove. Happy reckless speculation season, Randy. What's going on, man?
Yeah, first of all, what is it called? Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram.
Instagram.
The gram. Are you on the gram?
Is that another one of these dating apps?
I mean,
Well,
for Declan, it's probably been.
It's got me some good places and some really bad places, Randy. So it depends on the poison you want to take.
I mean, it's not officially a dating site like JDate, the one that you were using.
Don't
last
start
week.
stalking
Well,
off that, Randy.
I quit. I had to log off JDate. You were right about that. There's sort of a quiz, and I'm not of that persuasion.
We tried to tell you last week.
He's a man of morals.
This week was I introduced myself to Tinder.
Oh, okay.
It just is fresh, new.
Boy.
It's new, so I don't really have a lot to report yet. But from what I hear, it is active. I mean, it is a place where people are as we used to say, cruising the strip.
Yeah, are you finding yourself swiping right quite a bit, or what's your?
I
strategy?
just so far just put some stuff on there and just let it sit. Feel they come to me.
Oh, wow. Ballsy
So I have
move.
to-
You must be a good-looking guy, Randy. You must be a handsome man.
But I don't know if that's how it works. I mean, I've never used Tinder, but don't you both have to swipe in agreement that you?
Oh, if I do that, then I'll just go ahead. I'll swipe them all. It's fine.
Well, if you're looking for that strategy, then you should look into Bumble, because it's basically that's what it is. It's the Sadie Hawkins version of dating apps, where the girl finds you and she has to initiate the conversation.
I'm not old fashioned. I like to think of like a lot of different guys. Let the lady take the lead. So that's that.
There you go.
We'll look into that too. But you want to talk about reckless speculation? I got
reckless speculation.
Yeah, I threw a little proposal out there.
Really?
On my tweet, Randy Vike 69, and it's getting some likes. I think people kind of starting to see the light on this thing, and I'll try to give you the sort of the Reader's Digest of it. But Rick, if you're listening, might want to jot it down.
I think Rick is a daily listener at this point. I'm pretty sure we're driving all the front office decisions and thinking right now. So
God, yeah,
no doubt he is listening or watching this.
First of all, Rick, if you're not on the horn, on this thing, you're an absolute bozo, and you deserve to get your ass canned. After this year for sure, if you're not on the horn on this thing, take a swing, step up to the dish, and take a cut, take a big cut. And as you've said, Jeff, in the past, the Wolves have not been shy about making a splash, getting in the hot tub and splashing their arms around a little bit. And this is time. It's time now. You got Rodgers coming off of an MVP season. You got Detroit doing a retool, getting some picks. And in Chicago, I bet they're going to get off. I bet they're going to get off turbo. By the way, if they do, we should take a flyer. But
no
turbo.
No turbo.
Mitchell Trubisky.
Yeah,
no turbo.
We get it.
But now it's time, Rick. It's time to look around the division. It's time to look around the NFC and say, my ass is. I got news for you, Rick. Your ass is on the hot seat. It already is. This is it. This is this next year.
Randy, it sounds like you're saying Rick should make the call to get the haul. Make the call to get the haul. Make the call to get the haul.
Yeah. If that's what it takes. I mean, so here, I'll just run you guys through it. And this checks out. I mean, the math on this thing, it does check out. You take Kirk Cousins, who sucks, but that's fine. He's overpaid. He doesn't suck, but he's overpaid.
Yeah, he's not bringing enough ROI. He's not bringing enough ROI. Not enough ROI.
If Mike Shanahan likes him, send him out. Send him out to the Niners, and we'll get back. We'll take back Jimmy G.
Okay.
Because they got to dump him if they do that deal. We'll take back Jimmy G, and we'll take back first round pick. I mean, if Stafford commanded all that, Jack, all that in return, we'll take Jimmy G and a pick, and then we'll go. And this is where it gets fun. Then we're going to go ahead and spin Jimmy G.
Wow.
To the Patriots.
I like where you're going. Wow. I love where you're at right now.
And Bill loves Jimmy G.
Mm-hmm.
He still does, and he's not going to go to war with Cam again, and he's not going to go to war with Jason Stratham or whatever his name is.
What?
So, and then
their other quarterback. Oh, sorry.
We trade Jimmy G to the Patriots, and then the Patriots ship us a pick, maybe a second for Jimmy G, which would, by the way, be a fleecing because he's awful. And then you got those picks, and you package them. You take those picks, you package them with maybe even our first rounder, number 12, and you call up Houston, and you say, I don't even know who's in charge there anymore, but you say, Bill, I think it's Bill O'Brien. Bill,
yep, sure.
You want to dance? We got it. We got a little bit of a we got a little bit of a dress that I think you're gonna like the look of when you get on the floor, and that's a couple of picks, maybe 3, 2 firsts and a second, and either Daniel Hunter or Eric Kendricks, whatever it takes, Anthony Barr, or just some kind of a guy to sweeten the pot, and then they send over Deshaun Jackson, and we're in business. And if they don't want to do that. If Bill doesn't want to do that deal, then you shift the focus to the top of the board.
I don't know. I feel like Bill O'Brien has a pretty good connection with Deshaun Jackson. I don't know if he's going to be willing
doing
to pull the trigger
all that
on
work
one.
to get Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh my God, no!
It's worth it, and he's a stud. I mean, he is one of the guys in this league that I look at and say he's a generational kind of a talent. And you get him and you elevate your offense. And if they can't do that though, then you shift to look at the board and you say, all right. We got a pick from the Niners. We got that pick from the New England for shipping out Jimmy G, and we package all those picks and move up and take T-Law or go to number 2 and take the Mormon guy or whoever. But there's a lot of studs on that board at quarterback. So if you can't make the move for Jackson with all those moves I said, still make those moves and then just take all that capital and slide up the board. And make a splash, Rick. It is time to get in the hot tub, to get frisky. get in the hot tub and don't be afraid to take your trunks off and get
careful.
nuts. Go nuts and
Speaking my language.
splash around. He's in there by himself. He can do what he wants.
Why does he have to take his trunks off? That's weird.
Yeah.
If he wants to get good traction and swim, he's got to do it. So, like Rick, get in the tub, crank up the heat, and come out victorious and show us what you're made of.
Don't show us too much.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
I really liked where he was going until the trunks thing.
That got a little weird at the end there.
Like, I feel
guess.
like it's something that he's done.
Okay,
How would
you guys feel if the Vikings did all these things and traded 2 firsts and a second for Deshaun Jackson?
and accidentally we're like, did we just get that old wide receiver back?
You guys ever misclick on a fantasy draft? Sounds like that's what may have happened.
I did it. What? I got Deshaun Jackson. No.
Oh, God. I mean, who says no? I'm assuming he meant Deshaun Watson. And I'm assuming he meant Jack Easterby instead of Bill O'Brien.
I liked his I like the Patriots thing. I like the Garoppolo. You take Garoppolo and spin him.
They're probably desperate enough to give a second
But I don't
for
think
Jimmy Garoppolo.
But I think San Francisco would just do that part straight. But anyway, I sort of like it.
Yeah, why wouldn't San Francisco just trade Jimmy G to the Patriots for a second round?
Yeah, and I think he's going to get released, and so he's just going to sign probably with the Patriots. But I like a lot of what he said until he went to Rick taking off his trunks in the hot tub.
Yeah.
Been
Make
there.
the call, get the haul.
Yep.
Make the call, get
And then
the
you know
haul.
what
Phil
you do?
Mackey.
So go ahead.
And then you make the change because it won't be strange.
Phil Mackey.
You know, the one thing that sets Phil apart is Phil's been really good for the game. He takes time out for people, and
Judd Zolgad.
One of the most well-respected, esteemed journalists. Guy seems to break news before you even knew there was something to